guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Shawna. If you're not new, thank you for coming back. It has been so long since like a sit down video, but I promised that I would give one to you guys for the next video, so here we are. So as you can already tell from the title of this video, you already know what it is. I feel like the number one question that I get asked is, how difficult is it to learn Spanish? How do you do it? How do you learn Spanish? Just overall, how do you learn Spanish? So this video is for the new students that are about to start the Spanish course, and also probably pre-med after I have compiled some tips for you on how to learn Spanish and just to make the process a bit easier for you based off of myself and also from my friends who have passed through it and the things that they did that allowed them to learn a lot quicker, a lot faster, just have a seamless transition so that y'all can focus on medicine when you start first year and how that transition is like. So let's get into it. So my first tip for you is one that I personally did. So I would say to keep a legal pad or a book with you at all times. And then what you're gonna do is that anytime you hear a new word or a word that you don't know the meaning of, you jot it down in that book, you jot it down on that legal pad, and then when you get home, you either take a dictionary or you Google it or you Google Translate or whatever and find the meaning of that word. I still have my legal pad somewhere in one of my suitcases in Cuba from like my first year of Spanish and pre-med, that I would jot down all the different words that we would be learning in class, because remember that for the first 6 months you're going to be sitting in a classroom and exclusively you're going to be learning vocabulary, you're going to be learning grammar, you're going to be learning all of those things, and these words are new to you. So apart from like basic Spanish like colors, numbers, stuff like that, you will be learning a lot of new vocabulary. It's really helpful to have this legal pad to be able to jot it down until you get it. So first, my second tip for you. In my experience, from what I've seen, most of the people who speak the best and speak fluently and pick it up quickly are people who went out of their way to befriend Cuban people, went out of their way to talk to these people, hang out with them outside of, well, I can't even say outside of a school setting, because during the year that you're learning Spanish and you're learning pre-med, you're not in class with Cubans. It's just exclusively international students, because obviously Cubans would need to learn Spanish, they grew up in it. So make friends with Cubans that would be like in the community and then go out with them, speak to them, like have good conversation, or just keep talking. It don't matter how dumb you sound until you get it. I promise you, they will actually be very helpful to you. They want to help you, they want to help you to learn without you even having to ask them. They're gonna keep at it until you get better. So befriend a Cuban. I personally, and this goes over into first year when I actually started med school, I personally shied away from that because I was nervous, because for me, I was always afraid of saying the wrong thing or looking stupid, or my problems was always conjugations, and it still is. So I never wanted to conjugate wrong, because when I get nervous in that moment, I'm just thinking of like, all right, what's the first word? I remember the word, let me just say the word instead of conjugating it so it's in the right tense. Don't be afraid, don't shy away from that. I was always afraid of looking stupid whenever my Cuban classmates would speak to me, so I wasn't really trying to befriend them like that, because I didn't want to look dumb. And throw with a pride, it don't matter if you look dumb, it's whatever. At some point your Spanish will be so great that when people who don't know you and don't know that you went through this dumb period meet you, they're going to be amazed at how good your Spanish is. Because that happens to me now, even though my actual friends know that I'm still trash on Spanish. But don't let that be you. My next tip for you: if you live with another English-speaking person, which more than likely that's what's gonna happen, if you have a housemate and you share a space and they also speak English, I would recommend that you only speak Spanish in your household. Like, just Spanish. I know it's easier for us to just get up and just go into the native tongue that we know, but I promise you that this will benefit both you and your housemate, especially if the person is also in like Spanish pre-med and thing and they don't know Spanish as yet. This will benefit you guys. Even if you guys mess up and then you need to correct yourself in English or explain what you're trying to say in English, fine, but then get back right into character. Only speak in Spanish for the most part, unless it's something dire that you just need to get out. But that's another tip for you guys. My next 2 tips, let's go with the first one. Read books that are in Spanish. I personally did not do this unless it was my textbook as it related to like school and med and pre-med, and during that time I wasn't really reading in Spanish for purpose, but it helps you. I promise you it helps you. You're gonna learn new words. I actually knew somebody that did this, and she went out of her way to go to like the bookstores in Havana, and she bought the books and she sat down and she read them, and her Spanish is pretty good right now, so that could help you as well. There are a bunch of bookstores in old Havana that I'm sure sell books at reasonable prices, and you could get them. She particularly bought children's books, and I think that's so smart, to be honest, because then it's an actual enticing story or something that would maybe make you laugh, as opposed to if it's a full-on complex literary fiction or non-fiction book. That's probably going to be how many umpteen pages. With hers it was just a short thing, and I'm so sure she learned a bunch of words while studying and reading those books casually. Additionally, listen to music. I think that's how all the guys over here learn Spanish, honestly, because all of my guy friends that I know are always blasting Bad Bunny. The girlies too, from you see a guy and him have a speaker and him need to learn Spanish, put him on Bad Bunny. He will be fluent by the end of the year. All of them just blast Bad Bunny, and apparently he's just that good and he's a fave. I would definitely recommend that. Play music, you'll pick up words, and also when you're picking up the words, make sure to check what the words mean, because honestly when you translate some of these songs, you're gonna laugh. Repetition is your best friend. Repetition is your best friend. That's how I learned a lot of the words. Like once I learn a new word today, I'm probably gonna be saying it over for at least a week until I learn the word. Ask any of my friends that hang out with me the other day. Randomly I'll just start saying a word and they're like, really? You know, come off of this yet? No. I've been trying to learn the word. The first word that was hard for me to learn, I'll give you 2 examples. Chancleta, which literally means slipper. But whenever my landlady at the time would come to the house, she would hold up the slipper and be like, ¿Qué es eso? Chancleta, until I learned the word. I don't know why that word was so hard for me to learn, but it took forever, and when I finally catch it, I catch it. I always know what a chancleta is. And a chancleta is different from a zapatos, so that you know, because literally the first time you held it up, I was like, zapatos, just like, no, esa es un chancleta. So that was number 1. I repeated it for, I think I was talking about that for like a month until I finally got it. And then the next one, I actually ended up learning like 3rd year. A doctor caught us on like a balcony studying instead of writing up the docket for a patient, because it was exam time and we we're like, priorities, like the man not dead. And literally when he found us, he was like, "Eso es un conciliabulo." And I was like, "A what? Okay?" And he's like, "Conciliabulo." And I was like, how you spell that? Like, the word literally means a secret meeting. So you know, I had to learn that word because that sounds so cool to me. And now literally you can ask Heidi and you can ask Shanti. I was saying conciliabula for like 2 weeks until I learned the word. So repetition is your best friend. You will never forget it once you keep repeating it. Those words are stuck in my vocabulary. I forget the simplest of words, but I will never forget chanclets and I will never forget conciliabulo. And the last tip that I have for you, fear is going to hinder your progress. It doesn't matter how dumb you sound, talk anyway, you're going to sound better after a while. A lot of the times when we just start learning, most people don't even know there's an accent. There's an accent that you'll find that people speak with when they finally catch it and start speaking Spanish properly or better, as opposed to when you just learning. When you just learning, they could tell like, this person does not know what they're talking about. I think maybe like 3rd year was when I picked up my Spanish accent. And now, just with that accent, once you catch it, when the Cubans speak to you or when they speak to me, they're like, "Pero tu español es muy bueno." And they're literally telling me that my Spanish is really good. I'm like, no. If you ask me to speak like a paragraph long and explain to you, you're gonna hear how I sound terrible. But that accent has fooled them that the 1 little 2 sentence woman said, I can speak Spanish and I understand great. Of course I do, but to speak and relay back, I still have problems. And you'll never stop learning until you get perfect. Some people will progress quicker than you do. Don't let that discourage you. In my first year, I had friends that were speaking way more advanced than me. They speak way better than me, and they still cuss me to this day. So I'm supposed to can't speak Spanish at this rate now. Why am I still not speak Spanish? Because I am still super sheltered and don't go out of my way to go interact with people who I don't have to, and that is to my detriment. But when I need to defend myself, for the most part, I can hold my own. So I hope all of these tips helped you. I know I have a lot of new students and a lot of babies that are starting over there now, and y'all are terrified and afraid. I'm so hopeful for you guys. I hope all of these will help you, and give yourself some grace and give yourself some time. We can't all just be natural speakers. Some of us have to struggle a little bit, but you're gonna get it, and it's gonna be great. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe. If you're not new, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps the algorithm so much. If you know somebody who's interested in studying in Cuba but they're afraid because of the whole language barrier, and yes, every single thing that you do in class from your start, the minute you step in that classroom, every single thing is Spanish. Every single thing is Spanish, but they start from the basics, the absolute basics, once you start the Spanish course. So if you know somebody who's interested in studying but they're afraid of that, send them this video. Y'all don't got nothing to be afraid of. We all did it, so y'all can do it. It's not that hard. You'll pick it up after a while. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.